Yet another day, which only means another opportunity to nurture your mind and body. Slow down, stop, breathe, evaluate, and reset. Too often we get caught up in the noise and the stir and forget that a very important person needs us at our best. You are that person. I'm Adrian Atkinson, and I'll be covering all your information needs for today's edition of Jamaica Magazine.
Excess salt in your diet increases blood pressure and contributes to kidney damage, gastric cancer, obesity, osteoporosis, and the worsening of asthma. Aim to have no more than 3 to 6 grams of salt, or half of 1 teaspoon per day. And children under 11 years of age should consume less than this. Get healthy. Reduce the salt.
Today, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, March 15, 2022. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson says law enforcement agencies will be intensifying their partnerships and coordinated operations to seize the unexplained wealth of criminals. He says the forfeiture of proceeds of crime is critical to permanently dismantling criminal organizations. The commissioner was speaking at a digital press conference recently held in partnership with the Financial Investigations Division, Jamaica Customs Agency, and the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA.
Through the collaborative efforts of the police working with the FID, Customs, and MOCA, you will see more assets seized. You will see criminals forfeiting their ill-gotten gains.
Major General Anderson says strategic partnerships are yielding results, leading to several seizures of illegal guns and arrests in connection with the fines. The police commissioner is encouraging Jamaicans to support the work of the law enforcement groups by providing information that will lead to arrests, charges, and seizures.
We all can improve collaboration, and if you see something, say something. If you know something, share it. Criminals thrive when good people make the decision to do nothing. So we are going after the money, but we feel free to direct us as to where to find it.
Jamaicans in the mining industry now have access to a computerized database that allows them to locate different types of mineral deposits across Jamaica, along with the locations and boundaries of areas licensed for mining. This after the Mines and Geology Division of the Ministry of Transport and Mining officially launched the Jamaican Mining Cadastry, JAMINCAD, on Friday. The Mining Cadastry will also allow users to identify the location of housing, roads, upcoming developments, and protected areas bordering mined and unmined deposits. It will also help artisan miners, quarry operators, geologists, mining investors, and government agencies better manage the status and performance of mining license applications. Portfolio Minister Audley Shaw says strong partnership is what has made the project a reality, adding that it is timely and augurs well for the country's path to economic recovery.
This tool has come at a time when the need for investments is increased significantly, which is pivotal to realizing growth and development and wealth creation in Jamaica, especially as we work to recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Funding for JAMINCAD was provided by the European Union under the ACP EU Development Minerals Program. The Transport Authority has approved the issuance of 45 new route taxi licenses for the Port Antonio to Buff Bay route. This will add 225 seats along that corridor. The move follows consultation with stakeholders in the northern region and extensive research which showed there are inadequate seats to serve the Portland community. Operators who wish to obtain licenses for these routes should contact the Port Antonio Eastern Taxi Association, the Rural Taxi Association, or the Portland Taxi Association to submit their applications. The authority's operations team will be monitoring the situation, and an assessment will be conducted over the next few months to determine the effectiveness of these additional routes. In a release, Managing Director of the Transport Authority, Willard Hilton, says the authority is committed to fulfilling its responsibilities to the public, one of which is to ensure the availability of adequate and legal public transportation. Businesses and entrepreneurs are being encouraged to continue the use of digital platforms to remain competitive in an increasingly digitized world. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, says significant momentum was gained in this area during the global pandemic.
I commend the practitioners for rising to the challenge to serve digitally many consumers, and I urge businesses to continue to use these digital service portals. This is important if Jamaican entrepreneurs are to remain competitive in an increasingly digitized world.
Minister Hill made the call earlier as the country celebrates World Consumer Rights Day under the theme Fair Digital Finance. He insists that for businesses to be considered as offering fair digital finance services, they must be inclusive and sustainable and able to mitigate harm from scamming, fraud, and phishing. Minister Hill adds that operators within the digital finance services sector must ensure consumer data is private, safeguarded, and protected, and these operators must be responsive and responsible. And finally, Culture Minister Olivia Grange has officially unveiled a $3 million monument to memorialize the life of Violet Aunt V. Moss Brown. She was recognized globally as the oldest verified living person for the last 5 months of her life. The bust was unveiled in her hometown of Duanvale in Trelawney on the anniversary of her birth last Thursday and follows the unveiling of a storyboard at her home last year. Minister Grange says the historic life of the supercentenarian brought worldwide recognition to her small district in a valley in the cockpit country.
We must recognize that she achieved global recognition when, through the grace and love of God, she was able to accomplish that record as a global supercentenarian and bring additional fame to her community, her parish, and country.
In April of 2017, at age 117, Violet Moss Brown became the world's oldest living person, following the death of Italian Emma Morano in April 2017. In September 2017, she was visited by representatives of the Guinness Book of World Records, who presented her with a citation and the 2018 edition of the book. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The travel file application was created by the Transport Authority for the protection of the commuting public. Please download the travel file application on the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Once you download the application, put in your phone number, register the application under your phone number, and then you'll be able to verify the license plate that you're going in. Once you verify the license plate and the information of the vehicle, you will then be able to share that trip of the vehicle that you're in. And if there is difficulty on the trip, you then will be able to push a panic button and share your location with others as well. Download the application, give us our feedback at customerservice@ta.org.jm. Don't forget, it's free to download, free to use.
Today, Jamaica joins the rest of the global community to observe World Consumer Rights Day under the theme Fair Digital Finance. Over the past 2 years, many countries, including Jamaica, have expedited the development of their digital platforms to ensure consumers are more able to conduct business seamlessly, especially during the season of the COVID-19 pandemic, when the need for physical distancing arrived with the virus. I commend the practitioners for rising to the challenge to serve digitally many consumers, and I urge businesses to continue to use these digital service portals. This is important if Jamaican entrepreneurs are to remain competitive in an increasingly digitized world. I also remind business owners that for them to be considered as offering fair digital finance service, it must be first inclusive and sustainable. That means extending access to digital finance for all. It must also be safe, mitigating harm in digital finance from scams, fraud, and phishing. The data must be protected and private. That means safeguarding the data of every consumer of digital financial services. And, of course, it must be responsive and responsible. Socially responsible digital financial products that have recourse for redress via an established complaints mechanism. Let us make Jamaica's financial inclusion strategy a sustainable and resilient success. So I urge you to have a fair digital finance World Consumer Rights Day.
What a way you're full of our roots and culture. That was in Jamaica 60. Jamaica 60? What a piece of news, Miss Matty. I feel like my heart going bust up.
Just in, the island of Jamaica is on the verge of celebrating its 60th year of independence.
A whole way of celebrating it. They say the people them, you know, them come here, you know. But you see, when our people decide, say the other people them free paper, burn up, them say if it's war, start it, whatever. We all collect medal panta fight, you know. Medal. Amount of tongue we give them, you know.
The celebrations are slated to begin on January 1st, 2022. Organized by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We have more in this report.
I am on site and planning activities are ablaze. Persons are advised to download the Reggae Jamaica app to know what it activities for the Jamaica 60 celebration.
I don't know the app to get the updates then.
In our next watch, answers to COVID-19 vaccine-related questions that you may have from the experts.
After you get your first dose, it takes a few weeks, about 3 or 4 weeks, before your body has produced sufficient protection to reduce your risk of COVID. So if you get exposed in the week or the second week after your first dose, you could still get COVID. But once you've had 3 to 4 weeks after the first dose, the risk of getting COVID is much, much less. After you get the second dose, 7 days after the second dose, you are fully protected. And therefore, it is rare to get COVID after you have 2 doses. We already know it lasts several months, but we don't know how long it will last. For instance, the flu vaccine often lasts only a year. You have to then get another flu vaccine the following year. We're hoping that the COVID vaccine will last longer than that. Maybe you will need a booster in a year or 2 years or 3 years. That is still to be determined. But we do know that the vaccine is good, so we are optimistic that it will give you protection for a good while. If someone is sick with COVID currently, then we do not advise them to take the vaccine while they're ill. After they recover, they are going to develop immunity and protection to getting infected again. So usually we say wait 4 to 6 months, since we know that people will have immunity for at least 6 months. So we say, allow someone else, since there's such a problem with the number of doses available, allow someone else to get vaccinated and they could wait 4 to 6 months. But if they have recovered and they do take the vaccine, no harm will come to them. In fact, that will act as a booster to their immune system, so they'll be even more protected than before. Someone with lupus should get the vaccine because that's someone with a comorbidity. If they get COVID, they're at risk of having more serious attack of COVID. So as long as they're not having an acute flare-up, then they should get the vaccine. If they're having an acute flare-up of their lupus, as soon as it is controlled, is reasonably controlled, they should get the vaccine.
You have a comorbidity, then therefore you are definitely on our priority listing. So I want to encourage you to continue to build your immune system, eat right, certainly get some sun in the day, a lot of sleep, so that when it's your turn, your system will be ready to accept the vaccine. Thank you. It is a conversation to be had with your physician as to your current robust status. So if you are well, you are not having a flare at this time, then yes, you ought to take the vaccine.
Despite their diagnosis, the trying days and the major changes their lives have undergone, these two women have been showing up to life by holding on to their faith and the people that fuel their healing. Here's the story of Kadia and Kamala.
For many, it starts with a little itch on the breast, a lump in the air perhaps, a bit of redness on the nipple, or even nipple discharge. And you know it's not breast milk. Besides, you're no mother, neither are you pregnant. Research shows that breast cancer remains the leading cause of cancer-related death among Jamaican women and is the most common cancer among women worldwide. And even with increased screenings and public education, it still remains a major health challenge. Two women, Kamala McWhinney and Kadia McCoy, both share a similar story. For them, the common denominator is breast cancer. Kamala is in remission and Kadia is undergoing treatment. They now meet for the very first time to have a conversation about their mutual foe.
So Kadia, tell me when and how you found out that you have breast cancer.
Oh boy, well, it was in April. I remember I was in the shower and I felt a lump, but it was huge, so I wasn't thinking it was anything because I'm always doing my self-examination. And when I felt the lump, I said, maybe it's just premenstrual syndrome. So I remember after a shower, I went to my husband and I said, you know, feel this, you know, it's a lump and it's huge. And he said to me, maybe it's, you know, premenstrual syndrome. So when my menstruation came, I realized the lump went away, and then in May, it came back, and it came back sooner than the time I had felt it in April. So I said, no, you know, I need to go to the doctor and check this out. So it was the week after my 31st birthday. So I went to the doctor and she was like, okay, let me see what the girl's up to, you know. And she examined the right breast and she said, okay, I'm going to let you do a mammogram and an ultrasound. She was like, oh, they're just going to aspirate, it is just fluids. And when I went to do the mammogram and the ultrasound, the doctor said to me, she said, you know, she said to me, this is not something that we're going to aspirate. You have to do a biopsy. And right away I said, are you serious? You know? And she said, whatever it is, you're going to be okay. And when I did a surgical biopsy on a Monday, and I waited on the result for about 3 weeks, and my doctor messaged me and said to me that, you know, I have the results and it's not good. What was your experience like?
So interestingly, I was 30.
Wow.
So I was a little bit younger than you. And I
Right.
was having a persistent itching in my left breast. And I was
Right.
wondering what's causing this. Is it my detergent? Is it my fabric softener? What's causing this thing to be itching so much? So one day I was just at home after work on the couch watching TV, and I was scratching the itch. And I
Right.
felt something in my left breast, and I said, but it's not in the right breast. So then
Wow.
I was like, this needs to get checked out. So it took me a while because I was just in shock, like, what could this possibly be? So maybe about 10 days or so after, I worked up the courage, made the appointment, and went to the doctor. And then from that now, my GP said to me, go and get an ultrasound done. Got the ultrasound, and the results said that there's a mass in the left breast that is strongly suspicious of malignancy.
Wow. Yeah.
And then from there I did a biopsy, and it was October 18th that I got back the results in 2013 that it was in fact breast cancer.
Wow. What was it like when you found out? What?
So I was alone in the doctor's office because I was living out of town at the time.
Okay.
And my doctor said to me, I've never seen anybody take it quite like you, because I wasn't crying, I was asking questions, I was seeking information. And then the very next day my mom came down and she was by my side for the whole journey. So of course the emotions hit me when I left the doctor's office, and I know I had to call her because I knew she was going to be devastated, and that's what made me start crying.
Wow, yeah. Yes, it can be quite overwhelming. You know, I can really relate to that. It was hard. It's like your life changes completely. My life has now become about doctor visits, you know. Everything is about, you know, going to the doctor maybe once per week. It has changed completely. It makes me realize how precious, you know, life is. You know, it's delicate. Don't stress too much on the small things. Everything you'll manage to be where you are now, like this.
Actually, no. You know, I had this hope that it wouldn't always be this rough, but in terms of always sharing the story as much as I am now, 7 years after,
Right.
I never thought that I would be sharing it from a place of positivity all the time, because I was angry. I was sad, you know.
Yeah.
I had so many questions, like, you know, the typical question of why me? I tried to
Right.
eat healthy, there was no family history, all that type of stuff. But as the months and the years roll on, it gets easier to talk about it and to share details of the journey.
For me, my thoughts, I think that my body, you know, had betrayed me so much. You know, it was really hard.
Like when you look in the mirror now, Kadia, you know, what do you see?
For me, I see a woman of confidence, you know. I try to be strong. I look at myself and I see the scars, I see the bald head from chemotherapy, and it made me realize that I'm fighting a battle and I have the willpower to live, you know, especially for my daughter and my husband. Are you always, you know, were you always this positive?
Not at all. If it wasn't for COVID, I'd come and give you a hug right now. Because I know it's emotional talking about, especially so fresh in the journey. So I'm sending you love.
Thanks. I'm not always positive, but I try to be as, you know, like out of 10, I break down like maybe 1 out of 10, but 9 out of 10, I try to stay as positive as possible. And especially that I have a good prognosis, it keeps me going because all my scans came back clear. So it's just really doing chemotherapy, radiation, and then maintenance for probably about 10 years. But I try to stay as positive as possible.
Just to respond to that, Kadia, even when I was going through, especially because I'm a mental health professional as a psychologist, I knew that it's not practical nor reasonable to ask anybody to always be upbeat, to
Right.
always feel like, yeah, I want to testify today. So I went sometimes for 7 days without wanting to talk to anybody. Like there was real
Right.
depression as a part of the chemotherapy side effects.
Right.
And as a part of what was happening, it's a huge personal crisis to be going through. So I just want to encourage you, feel all the feelings. If you feel like crying, it's normal,
Yeah.
it's human, it's healthy.
That's what I'm doing. So, I mean, chemotherapy is hard. I did major surgeries. I did a oophorectomy, hysterectomy, a nipple-sparing mastectomy, and reconstructive surgery. I did all that in one surgery. So it was, I would take the surgeries any day than the chemotherapy.
In terms of coping though, crying to me is a very natural part of it.
Right.
Feeling all your feelings, no matter what they are on a given day, are part of it. But how else have you kept going?
Well, my daughter keeps me going. What I try to do is, in between the times that I'm feeling better, I try to go out and do something with the family. I have a mountain of support, and each bring different gifts of encouragement and support. But what was your support like?
So for me, my support system was largely about my mom. She's like my backbone, right? So my mom, and then my aunt, my cousin, and some friends who are like family.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm really, really grateful that I had that kind of love. So
Oh,
I'm really
that's
grateful for
nice.
that, yeah.
So-
It's October, Kadia, and there's so many women who are going through the journey right now. What words of encouragement would you share with them?
Well, I would say to them, listen, there is no I can't do it, because you have to do it. You have to practice, gratitude. You have to try and be strong and be thankful for each day, because it gets better. You just take it a day at a time and just enjoy each day as it comes. Yeah.
Sending you all the love in the world.
Yes.
And I love that part that you mentioned, Kadia, because it does get better.
Yes.
Little by little. And no matter what the prognosis is, what I found to be essential was just keeping gratitude at the
Right.
center of it all.
Yes, you have
Even
to.
for the small things, the smallest of things, I just had this profound sense of it could be worse.
Yes,
And just
yeah.
holding on to that every hour, every day got me through day by day, week by week, month by month.
Yeah.
Until October 18th, God's willing, I'll be 7 years.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. So what I saw, I remember I was feeling down yesterday, and I was reading something on Facebook, and this lady, she's a 40-year survivor, and I'm like, oh my God, because you know that in the back of our heads we have the what ifs, what if it comes back. But I mean, seeing that 40-year survivor, I'm like, oh yes, I'm going to see my grandkids. I'm going to see my daughter graduate. So I'm just holding on to hope, faith, support, and love right now. That's what keeps me going. Yeah.
And I'm expressing gratitude for you.
Yes.
I'm glad I got to meet you.
And the same for you as well.
Much love.
Thank you.
The Registrar General's Department records show that from 2010 up until 2014, there are 1,634 death certificates in Jamaica that named breast cancer as the main cause of death. But the truth is, this does not have to be a death sentence. If this is something that you're experiencing, I hope that both Kamala and Kadia's stories will help you along your journey. And if you know someone that's in the fight with breast cancer, wherever you can, reach out and assist.
Thanks for tuning in to Jamaica Magazine. I do hope it was informative. If you missed anything, connect with us on our YouTube channel and social media pages. You can also visit our website for any other government-related stories. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, on this station. The hard-working team here at the GIS thanks you for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.